Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is November 13, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 177 of me answering your immigration related questions. As always, before beginning this video, I'm going to mention, as I mentioned in every video, I am not an immigration attorney. This is not legal advice. All the information provided in this video, as well as on this channel, are directly from official government sources like USCIS and of course the Department of State with their visa bulletin. So let's start with the very first question comment from Judith Jacob Shagan. Hello, my priority date is 2020 July and I'm assuming DQ, documentarily qualified, in August 2023, and visa class F22, so F22 it is. Let me quickly double check. I am pretty sure it is a child of a permanent resident, but let me double check in this helpful guide right here. So let's see. So F22, so child of lawful permanent resident, that would be F2A. So let's take a look at the visa bulletin and see what F2A looks like as of right now. So you're already documentarily qualified. So we're going to be looking at the graph A to see the final action dates. So right now, let's see if you specify the chargeability. So I'm going to look at all chargeability area, which is most of the times the case the rest of the world. But if you're from any of the, although looks like they are exactly the same, so it really doesn't matter which chargeability area you're from. So it's February 2019 and you are, so your priority date is 2020 July and it's February 2019 on the visa bulletin. So you are, my math is horrible, so you're about, or 6 months, so 6 months plus 2 months, 8 months. So you're roughly about 8 months away from your priority date becoming current and from your immigrant visa becoming available. Now, the good news is that we have seen some pretty good movement recently, not from November to December. There was absolutely no change, unfortunately, from that. But recently, in the past few months, we have seen some significant movement for F2A. So it might be even faster for you if it becomes too closer to being current again. But as of right now, that's what you're looking at. Obviously, keep in mind that it might take some additional time for the embassy to actually schedule, depending on where the US embassy is and how busy it is. It might take some extra time. In most cases, about 6 months after your immigrant visa becomes available. But for me personally, it was 9 months. So, and I do see some people, they wait as long as a year, year and a half. But you're almost there. You're getting there. Okay, let's move on to the next one from Sindid Mahmood, 6417, documentarily qualified on 24th April 2023 on IR2 visa from Bangladesh. All right, still I'm not getting an interview, mail or anything. Can you please help me in this regard by letting me know? Okay, so IR, immediate relative category, let me make sure which one exactly it is. So IR2, so child of a US citizen. Okay, awesome. Child of US citizen, so IR category, which means that you're not dealing with the visa backlog whatsoever. Once your I-130 was approved, your immigrant visa was already available. The only thing right now that you're waiting for is the interview to be scheduled. That's really it, because your immigrant visa is already available. That's the good news. Not so good news, depending, again, you're in Bangladesh, and I would be pretty sure that in Bangladesh, US Embassy is pretty busy in there. So you've been waiting now since April, which is month 4. We're month 11, so like seven months you've been waiting for, which is within the normal. Like I said, a lot of times it's 6 months. For me personally, I was petitioning for my parents, also immediate relative category, and it took them 9 months after becoming documentarily qualified to get their interview. A lot of times on this channel, I see people waiting as long as a year, possibly a year and a half, and some really, really busy. Like, for example, in Pakistan, in Islamabad, US Embassy is really busy, so it takes a while. I would assume Bangladesh would be the same thing. What you can do is, I would recommend actually calling the US Embassy, where you will be going through the interview, and I'll show you usembassy.gov, because your immigrant visa is already available and you've been documentarily qualified over 6 months ago. So I would recommend reaching out. There you go. Here's Bangladesh. There you go, US Embassy in Dhaka. here's their phone number. Give them a call. Just be polite, be professional. Say, hey, I'm in immediate relative category. I'm a child of a US citizen. I've been documentarily qualified now since April, and I still didn't get my interview. I was wondering if you can tell me when my interview was scheduled for. Because the thing is, your interview is most likely already scheduled. You just don't know when it is scheduled for, because, well, they cannot send you the official interview notification longer than 30 days. So let's say if your interview is scheduled for example, March 1st, 2024, you will only get your email announcing that interview date on February, 1st, 2024. So by calling, you might bypass, because it's not an official announcement of the interview over the phone. So in some situations, they might be able to look into the system and tell you. It's worth a shot. So I'm gonna post this. So I would say it's possible, if it was my personal estimation, it's possible that you might get your interview scheduled. I wouldn't. By the end of this year, it's still possible, yes, because there's more than 30 days to the end of the year. But most likely, you are probably looking at the first quarter of 2024, realistically. And also, if you do call and if they do tell you, please come back to the channel and let me know. I'd really appreciate that. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Williams Amoranos. Hello, sir. My priority date of my daughter F2B is 1st December 2011. What the news for this? I'm permanent resident. What's your advice? Will I transfer to F1 category so it'd be faster processing? Thanks a lot. I'm from Philippines. Williams, thank you very much for your question. That's a really, really good question. So let's take a look at F2B first and see what's going on, because your priority date is already from 2011. Philippines, they have separate chargeability area, so that's probably one of the reasons. Let's see, so F2B, Philippines, so we're looking right here. Let me double check. You should be already documented. I'm pretty sure you're already documentarily qualified, because you are right around the priority date becoming current. Well, your daughter is right around the priority date becoming current, because right now, as of right now, people with the priority date back in 22nd October 2011, their immigrant visas are becoming available, their priority date becoming current. So October 2011. And your daughter, December 2011. So you are only, well, your daughter's case is only 2 months. So October, November, December, 2-3 months away from becoming current. Hopefully we'll see the steady movement in the next few visa bulletin editions, which is, steady would be every month, it moves at least a month. Unfortunately, most of the time it's not the case, but hopefully we'll see. But you are really, really close for the priority date becoming current. As far as the F1 goes, let's take a look at F1 now. Actually F1 is not doing better. Actually F1 right now is doing worse for Philippines, because it's actually showing for March 2012. So it is October, November, December, January, February, March. So it's like 5-6 months further. So you wait longer in F1. So I would not recommend switching. For sure, I would not recommend switching. I would recommend staying in F2B. Hopefully we'll see the steady movement in the next few months, and your priority date, your daughter's priority date becomes current, and she can go and for the interview. Keep in mind again, Philippines, pretty heavy immigration traffic obviously from Philippines, so that's why there is a separate chargeability area for Philippines. So it might take a little bit longer than usual to get that interview scheduled, just because there is a longer line ahead. But again, most of the times it's about 6 months, but it can be as long as year and a half people wait. But it's really, really close. You've been waiting for a long time, so I really pray for the steady movement for the visa bulletin, honestly, for everyone. And one of the reasons why I started this channel is because, well, this is all personal to me. I'm an immigrant myself, and in fact, as of right now, I do have a I-130 petition pending. Hasn't been approved by USCIS yet. I do have one that was approved, two that were approved and documentarily qualified, and that's it, done. And still waiting for one from my brother. So yeah, I can definitely relate whenever it comes to waiting long time. Okay, let's move on to the next one from Attack Studio. For F4 visa, we applied in 2008. There you go, F4 siblings of US citizen. And our qualification date is 2010 November. Oh, you already got documentarily qualified back in 2010. Oh, wow, okay. When can we, wait a second. So you were not qualified, you were approved by USCIS in 2010 and you're waiting for documentary qualification. Okay, that's a great question. So let's take a look at the visa bulletin and see what's going on. So I'm going to look at the all chargeability area. And right now, we're going to be looking at the graph B, because that's, if you are wondering when the NVC portal is going to be open, when you can start your documentary qualification process, you got to be looking at the graph B. If you want to see the full length when the immigrant visa becomes available, then you're looking at the graph A, which obviously is helpful already after you're documentarily qualified, because that's it, final action has been taken, that's it, you're just waiting for the immigrant visa to become available. That's kind of like a distinction between the two. So right now for graph B, it's showing March 2008, and you are October 2008. Okay, so your priority date is in October 2008. So that would be March. March is number 4. No, that's number 3, and then October is number 10. So 7 months. So roughly 7 months before the availability. Wait, I'm sorry, not availability. You're still waiting for we're looking at the graph B. Before 7 months, roughly before the NVC portal will be open and you can start your documentary qualification process. So you are really, really close. I would definitely recommend start to get ready for the documentary qualification process. I have a video on this channel. I am showing a real NVC portal that was already documentarily qualified, so you can see everything you need to submit, everything you need to pay, the documents, the civil documents, the financial documents you need to submit. So check that out. Also, I recommend checking out the DS260 video that I've done recently, because that's what you're going to be doing as part of the documentary qualification process. So if you can familiarize yourself as much as possible and prepare all of the documents, once your NVC portal opens up, 2 days, 3 days, you submit everything, that's it. If you are prepared, it is possible to become documentary qualified on the first shot. I didn't. Whenever I was helping my parents to get documentary qualified, they got denied on the first. Not denied, but it was they requested for more information, and that can delay the case for like 3-4 months, because you have to submit everything again and then wait for their review again. Definitely creates a delay. So if you're prepared, you can avoid losing that time. But you really are close, really, really close. And then obviously, roughly another year you got before the immigrant visa is available. So it's March 2008 and then April 2007. So right around a year after, your NVC portals opens up, you become documentarily qualified, the immigrant visa becomes available. So really close. Okay, let's move on to the next one from Stefan. Hello, my priority date is 2020 September and documentarily qualified in September 2022 and visa class F22. Okay, so that's F2A. How long does it take for interview? And about visa bulletin, must be the same date as my priority date or just be in any month of 2020 to get interview? Great question. That's a really good question. I haven't had a question like that. Okay, so let's take a look at the visa bulletin first and see what's going on for the F2A, because I already forgot. Let's see. So F2A, did you specify your chargeability area? No. Okay, that's fine. We're going to look at all chargeability area, because it doesn't really matter, because all of them are literally the same for all chargeability areas. So as of right now, December 2023 visa bulletin for F2A, it is showing February 8, 2019. February 2019. And you are September 2020. So September 2020, 3 more months in 2020, and then February 2019. So roughly you're 5 months away from the availability of the immigrant visa. So you really are close. As far as how long does the interview take, depending on where you're from, depending on how busy the U.S. Embassy is, the country where I'm from, or where my parents are from, it's not as crazy busy, and still they waited 9 months. Okay, a lot of times people in the immediate relative category, they're waiting about 6 months. Once you get your immigrant, once your priority date becomes current, once your immigrant visa becomes available, that's roughly how long you're waiting. But it can take definitely longer if there is more immigration traffic. It doesn't matter, non-immigrant, immigrant, because they have to accommodate. They can only obviously have so much time for these interviews. But to answer your second question, which I think is even more important, be any month of 2020. I would say it's more to a day, but month, it is pretty important. It really has to be spot on, because it is only when your priority date is current, only then the interview can be scheduled. The U.S. Embassy can schedule the interview. If and the reason why I'm saying that is because I've seen cases where a person was current and then visa bulletin retrogressed, went back, and the person was no longer current by literally a month, and they had to wait to become again current on the visa bulletin. It's silly, but that's how it is. They actually had the interview scheduled at the U.S. Embassy, and then U.S. Embassy canceled the interview because visa bulletin retrogressed. So yes, it definitely does matter. You have to be definitely current on the visa bulletin in order to have that interview scheduled. Okay, so let me post the answer here. Hopefully this was helpful. Moving further to Parisa Ahmadi. Parisa says, I got my answers. Thank you very much, Parisa. You're very welcome. I'm glad my answers were helpful. Moving further to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, thank you very much for being publicly subscribed to this channel. Appreciate that. So Elizabeth says, thank you for answering my question in volume 166. I have another question here. If I want to apply an asylum and my sister will apply for a visitor visa next year, would that be a problem for her to get that visa? Thanks so much. Elizabeth, that's a really, really good question. Technically, it should not be a problem, okay? Theoretically, it should not. On paper, it should not be a problem. Unfortunately, most of the times, U.S. embassies, the consuls, whoever do these interviews, non-immigrant visa interviews, they don't think like that. If they see somebody in the family with asylum claim, most likely they will create a problem. Especially if the country where you're from has a heavier immigration numbers, and obviously consuls that are reviewing these DS-160s, the applications for non-immigrant visa, if they see in the system that there was any kind of intent, not even necessarily asylum, any kind of intent to immigrate by another family member within the immediate relative family member, then yeah, they most likely will create a problem. Again, it's not a 100% thing. Your sister might go, and in fact, I actually do know a case where older brother, I don't remember how much older he was. I think they had 5-year difference, and he claimed asylum, and he already had he got his asylum, he got his permanent residence, and he was already a citizen. He just recently became a citizen, and then his little brother went into the embassy to get the non-immigrant visa to come visit him, and he was approved. He came, he was able to come, and he was able to, to visit his brother, basically. And then I know exactly the same case where a little brother was denied because the older brother claimed asylum. So it's really hard to tell. But be prepared. Be prepared. Now, with that being said, I don't want to sway you away from the asylum, because it's very asylum. Applying for asylum is a huge it's a commitment. It's a huge step. You're starting a very, very serious process that requires a lot of your time, and it might last, like in some situations it lasts like 10-15 years, people going through this. So it's a big thing, and I don't want you to kind of sway you away from this. If you have to apply for asylum, then it's better to do it and not to hesitate, because time definitely matters. The faster you apply for asylum after coming into the United States, the better it is. The longer you wait, a little bit, it becomes a little bit more finicky. It's more questions during the asylum interview that you don't want to be dealing with. And then obviously, don't let that stop, your sister from applying for a visitor visa. But be prepared that, it's not gonna, it might not be a positive outcome, unfortunately, because most of the times that's how they look at it. Okay, hopefully I was able to answer your question. Let me post a response here, and we're gonna move on to the next one from Eileen Quizos. Eileen says, thank you for your time, sir. You're very welcome. I'm glad this was helpful. Moving further to Muhammad Ali. All right, Muhammad Ali, documentary qualified October 20th, CR1. Okay, so conditional resident, immediate relative. Casablanca Embassy, you have any idea how long it will take for interview? Okay, so Muhammad Ali, the good news is that because you're immediate relative category and you are qualified October 20, well, you're qualified just literally less than a month ago. Congratulations, by the way. That's a huge step, becoming documentarily qualified. Good news is that your immediate relative category, so your immigrant visa is already available. Your case, it's either already at US Embassy, I'm pretty sure it is, and they already might have scheduled your interview. Maybe they're still scheduling it, but it should be pretty close. All right, like I said, most of the times it's about 6 months, and in fact, you're from Casablanca. I really don't get too many questions on this channel from people from Casablanca, so it kind of leads me to assume it's a pretty bad assumption, but possibly maybe there's not that many people immigrating, not that many, not as much of a flow of immigration coming from Casablanca, which is good news for you, because it most likely will be scheduled faster compared to being from other countries. So it's been less than a month for you. I don't think you will have your interview by the end of this year. It would be super fast if you do it. I mean, crazy fast. Most likely though, somewhere in the first quarter, maybe even possible mid 2024, you will have your interview scheduled. But it's your immigrant visa is already available, and you're almost there. Okay, so let me post a response here, and we're gonna move on to the next one. And for everyone, if you asked your question about visa prediction, about when the interview is scheduled, and it was scheduled, please come back to this channel. It's good to help people, obviously, if my answers are helpful with some information that I provide. But it's also really good to read that finally resolved, finally resolutions. It's really nice to read those. Because it's uplifting for other people that are waiting, and I'm waiting myself. So okay, let's move on to the next one from Latifa Malik, F2A category, priority date 2017. Okay, November, documentary qualified 2020 August. When will get interview? Okay, so this is F2A, priority date 2017. So you are 2 years. Well, it's November, but at least 1.5 years over. So your priority date has been current for a while now, and you have been documentarily qualified August 2020 August. So wow, over 3 years ago. So literally should be, I would say, anytime now, because you've been waiting now for, unless there was a major delay in becoming documentary, which doesn't sound like at all. By your numbers, it don't look like it at all. Looks like everything is going smooth in your case. Priority date 2017, over 1.5 years, you've been current already, so your interview should be literally anytime now. Possibly by the end of this year, If not by the end of this year, I would say probably most likely 99% chance in the first quarter of 2024. I'm gonna ask you, Latifa, it's which country you're from. I would highly recommend calling the US Embassy. You can find, just look on this list. I'm gonna post this in my response. Look on the list of whatever country you're from. Go find the US Embassy, because that's what it shows. It shows all the US embassies around the world. Call them and say, hey guys, I've been current for a long time now and been documentarily qualified, so I wanted to see when my interview was scheduled for. So yeah, because you're right around the corner. So let me post the answer here, and there we go, link. And also, if anybody, if you call the US Embassy, if they tell you when your interview is scheduled, please come back to this channel and let everyone know, everyone who's watching these videos, myself included. And also, if they don't tell you, please come back, because that's definitely helpful as well. Okay, moving further to the next one from Ahmad Yassin. Hello sir, I know I did ask you for the stateless guideline, but because now we have new update, do you think I need to send them a proof for my case? Therefore my case about my stateless status. By doing so, do you think that will speed up my case? It's been since 2017. Thank you. Ahmad, I apologize. I don't exactly remember your original question, but I'm assuming you're asking, so speed up if you're waiting from 2017, most likely you're waiting for I-130. So I'm assuming you have an I-130 case, family reunification case. Whenever it comes to the updates, if your case have not been, let's see, therefore my case abasis, I'm not sure if you're documentarily qualified or not. Please, Ahmad, if you can, clarify your case, what's going on, what kind of case you have, so that I can kind of, give you a little bit more personalized, a little bit better. But if, to generally answer, if you have your case, family reunification case, and you are not yet documentarily qualified, or you are documentarily qualified, but your immigrant visa is not available yet, and there is like a year, 2 years that you gotta wait, yes, absolutely, whatever update you have in your situation, definitely reach out to the NVC by submitting a public inquiry form. That I do have a video on this channel on how to submit a public inquiry form, but it's done through the travel.state.gov official government website for the Department of State Bureau of Consular Affairs, where we check for the visa bulletin. But if you are too close, let's say you're already documentarily qualified and your immigrant visa has been available, your priority date been current for a long time, like for example in Latifa's case, right? Then I would recommend just taking all the documents that are updates, the updates that happen, putting them in a separate folder and bringing them to the interview with you. And if the question comes up, which most likely will, you have your separate folder with updated stuff. You have one folder with everything that you've been documentarily qualified with, because you do need to bring that information, because that's what is going to be reviewed on the interview. And then you have a separate folder with all the updated stuff. So when you're showing the original documentarily qualified stuff, you say, oh yeah, this and this, and by the way, I had an update happen that, I just recently happened, so I didn't really have a chance to update NVC, because if you're already documentarily qualified and your immigrant visa is available, your case has been already sent to the US Embassy. So there is really it doesn't really make much sense to reach out to the NVC unless there is still significant amount of time involved, because you don't want to create that kind of confusion where your case is already with US Embassy, the interview is already scheduled, you're like few months away from the interview, and now you're sending updates to NVC. Situations like this, they can cause unnecessary, back and forth, because NVC will be like, oh, okay, we need to update US Embassy. Let's update US Embassy. They didn't update on time. Now the US Embassy has to reschedule your interview. You definitely don't want to create a situation like this. So hopefully my answer helps, Ahmad. But again, if you can let me know a little bit more detail about your case and I'll try to do a better job answering. Okay, let's move on to our last question for today from DD24. Hi sir, from the look of things, how do we reunite with our family as soon as possible? Because it hurts a lot, and why the F category is the only category dealing with backlog? Any explanation? Okay, DD24. So I would recommend the best thing to do if you're waiting for family reunification case and there's a long wait involved, there's visa availability is not available, you're waiting for the priority date to become current. My recommendation would be is to try to apply for a non-immigrant visa for the relative that you're petitioning for. Yes, there is a chance that they're going to be denied during the interview because the consul is going to look at the case and say, oh, you are applying for non-immigrant visa, but you have an immigration case going. You're denied, sorry. They might do it, and they do it a lot of times. But I think it is still worth a shot because yes, you're gonna spend time, you're gonna spend money, and if it doesn't work out, it is upsetting. But it is worth the shot anyway, because if whoever it is you're petitioning for, if they do get a non-immigrant visa, I mean, it's a blessing, because now they are able to come here, they are able to hang out with you here legally, and then go back and travel back and forth with a non-immigrant visa while there is still an immigration case pending for them. Again, you got to keep in mind, you got to be prepared that it might be denied, and there are more chances for it to be denied. But still, the chances that to get the non-immigrant visa, it's still worth it. That's what I would recommend. As far as the F category, it's 4 family preference categories. I don't know. That would be probably a question for U.S. Congress, but then again, I don't think anybody can answer in U.S. Congress that question either, because it makes no sense. Why parents of U.S. citizen is okay, immediate relative category, but a son of a U.S. citizen who is 22 years old, oh, that's F1, and they're going to be waiting for years. I mean, look at the visa bulletin. It's for F1 right now. It's January 2015. That's 8 years. 8 years. So a parent of U.S. citizen, and I got nothing against parents, but parent of U.S. citizen, immediate relative. No waiting, no backlog. Once I-130 approved, immigrant visa available. But a son of a 22 years old, anybody over 21, son, daughter, doesn't matter, then 8 years wait time. That makes no sense. To me, that makes no sense. So I unfortunately I can't answer that question. It's a lot. If you start digging into the way all of this is, it stops to make sense. Unless you put money into it and think, oh, they are doing everything for the benefit, economical benefit, or political, some kind of taking advantage of people, really. Maybe it starts to make sense because, well, parents typically would be more financially capable to come here and bring money with them, and that's good, I guess, for economy, compared to a 22-year-old son who is young adult, just starting, just graduated college maybe, or still in college, and that's, yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. I don't support it at all. If that's the case, this is terrible. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. That's just my speculation, really, to answer your question. But yeah, that's part of the deal. That's how it is. So okay, so on this on this a little bit of a darker note, thank you very much everyone for watching, and hopefully my answers were helpful. If you do have any follow-up questions, let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer. Again, thanks for your time. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.